Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Wraith, and today I'm going to be going over some shield wall tactics with you. Okay, shield wall is a very good thing in Middle-earth strategy battle game. Okay, if you're in base contact with two other models, you gain +1 to your defense. So if you're a Warrior of Gondor, you're going up from 6 to 7. If you are an Iron Hills Dwarves, you're going up from 7 to 8. And that is very, very scary to face, but very, very immobile. Well, in some cases. So, I'm going to go over some of the tactics and tips for you guys on how to use it in your Middle-earth strategy battle game. Now, here I am, okay, and the first tactic is use the terrain. It's quite obvious what's going on here, okay? I don't want these orcs to get past me. I found a nice situation here where I can put myself in between two buildings so that the orcs, if they wanted to flank me, would have to go quite a distance away. So if we measure from this guy's base, it's going to take it from there, but we'll try again. You know, that's one movement. So it's going to take him, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, ignore that. At least 4 turns to get all the way around there. 4 turns is a lot of time, okay? And this forces them into a situation of, what do I do? Do I crash against here? Chances are they will probably lose, because they're going against defense 8 dwarves at fight 4, strength 4, okay? Whether these are Morannon orcs or normal orcs, obviously Morannons would do better. I think these are just normal orcs. I don't know. But, well, they would do better, but chances are you're probably going to be okay and you'll be able to hold this position for a very long time. Now, not all terrain is like this, and you don't have all the models in the world, so I will be going over what to do and how to get into this position with, well, less models, different distance. So, 1 second. So there we are. The buildings are further apart, but it looks a bit less organised. But what I've done here is I've not left quite enough room for the orcs to slip in between and get into my spear supports. And at the moment, some of them, you might think, don't have shield wall. But let's say this warrior gets into combat with this dwarf, okay? He wins, he backs away, he gets one person to help him back away, so you can back away slightly with this guy, and he falls back to there. He's in base contact with 2 other models, he now has shield wall. Perfect. And you can do this across the whole line without drama, so if he backs away slightly, because he will if either of these 2 fall back, and you can back away to be in base contact with 2 of them, as long as you move an inch in any direction. And then if this guy has to back away, he can back away into both of them, so on and so forth. So you can maintain shield wall, but you've spread across a further distance. So there we go. Obviously I've just added the banner because you want a banner, especially if you're trying to hold a position. Now the next point I'm going to be bringing up is how to be mobile in a shield wall. Well, a bit more mobile and take control of more ground. More, supremacy over the battlefield. They will also be able to move as their own separate little unit. Okay, and I'll give you some examples of what you can do with them in a moment. But if we go from a look from above, okay, this guy loses a fight, he can back off, and he can back off into his mate and maintain shield wall, because he'll have 1, 2 on him. And then he just backs off, and then they regain their formation. Okay? The troubles is if you lose one of them, say he dies. Okay. This guy can lose and back off into formation, but from that point it's going to get a bit harder to maintain it. And obviously if you lose another guy, you can't maintain it. But if you're clever, you can keep it going. That is the minimum you need to keep a shield wall. 4 guys. Well, 3 is the bare minimum, but this is the minimum you want to be running with. Now onto some examples of why this is slightly better. Okay, let's say I have 1 priority, and I'm going to move, okay? And I've got my separate little shield walls here. And what I can do is get this guy to charge in, tag both of them, and go about there. That'll do. And then this guy is going to come over, remain an inch away, spear support him. And then it goes exactly the same. I mean, it's easier when they got 6-inch moves, so Warriors of Minas Tirith are better at this, obviously. But I got the Dwarf models out because I like the Dwarf models. There we go. Okay, we've now got a clear flank charge there. We can do rinse and repeat on the other side. So we'll see how far this guy can go. Oh, I don't want that. So he's going to have to tag both of them, spin round, and maintain base contact with that guy. This guy is going to come round, spear support his buddy. He's going to charge into that guy, and then so on. Happy days. Now, the option with these guys is what they can do is they can go in and spear support, but the problem is you'll get rushed. So what you can do is then start committing to each orc individually. And yes, you'll break up the shield wall, but that's what it is. And these guys aren't going to be fighting. You can if you want, but I'll show you what to do in a second. I'm just going to roughly move them in the right direction. So boom. And he's going to tag 2. Just to stop them from moving. Oh, he doesn't have to tag them 2. He can do 1v1 there. He's going to have to tag 2 though. Okay. There we go. So, what these guys' jobs are, they're going to be shielding. Let's assume we have a banner, because why not? And their only job is to hold that line as much as they can. Okay? These guys are going to be the main of the killing, because you've got 2 attacks coming into this guy, 2 attacks coming into this guy, and you might as well attack with this guy because it'll be 3v1. And you're probably going to delete that orc. You've got a good chance of removing that orc if you're alright. And then on the other side, ideally you probably want to send him this way in hindsight. So, but it doesn't really matter because he's going to be fighting 1v1. Yeah, I missed that. He's on 2. But yeah, but you've got a good chance of beating him, and this is the best case scenario, a good chance of beating him. Okay, and then these guys get pushed back as much as they can. It doesn't matter if you get pushed back a little bit, so on and so forth. But what's happened is now you've got shield wall here, and if you're playing a bigger game, ideally shield wall, because you only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra dudes here to maintain shield wall. So this is probably better with Gondor than Iron Hills because they're cheaper. Not by much, but just. But you're starting to dwindle their numbers. And when you're split apart, it's all about who gets priority. You can, at this point, you can do whatever you want. You can heroic move to trap them in the same cycle again, but they've got less orcs, which will be ideal for you. Or you can then move on to the heroic march, where you can get maybe this squadron over here, depending on where you place your captain and how clever you are at placement, to come round. Which they probably would. I mean, I probably would, if I'm honest. So I'd probably send this guy in to hit this guy and spin round to there, easily making it to there. And 4.6. Wow, he's a bit too far to go there. But, oh, they're marching. You can't charge. So you can just march all the way around. And don't charge in. And then start getting things like traps going on, if you want. If you want. That is the thing. Because these guys are going like 8 inches, so they can literally do whatever they want. Just as an example. These guys are spreading out. And now you've got them encircled. You've got a pretty good chance of taking them on, because you defend 7 anyway. Okay? But it's a good way of setting things up. Anyway, moving on. So there we have it. Okay? Pretend this guy's not here. He's a banner. You can hide back here somewhere. But what's happened here is we've got to keep this objective safe. We've got a much larger force of enemies, so orcs, goblins, whatever, and we're going to try and hold them off. So what we've gone is almost like a crescent shape here, so we can protect ourselves from being flanked and stopping the enemies from coming around so easily. And if, let's say, an enemy does win a fight, so because we're not in shield wall at the moment, when he backs off, he will now be in shield wall. Same over here. All he has to do is back off this way, and he will be in shield wall, and so on and so forth. So they're maintaining shield wall whilst keeping the objective. It's quite handy for stuff like that. And even if they do start getting round, you can then keep backing up. You can then have to spread to like formations where you start staggering yourself like that, like I did when I showed you how to extend your lines. And yeah, it's just going to be, just make yourselves a bit more wider, and that just makes it even harder for the orcs to try and get all the way around you, because then they have to try and really get around it. By that time you should either have reinforcements or just hold them on for as long as you can, and maybe the game will end if you're lucky. Very fast orcs. But yeah, that's pretty much the basics of it. And seeing that, you're holding off, and you will have more people around within 3 inches or whatever, 6 inches of this objective than your enemy. Obviously, with more models, the better it is, because then you can complete a full circle and be an absolute pain, especially if you just need to hold the centre objective. The other good thing I forgot to mention about having the 4-man squad, so whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, is they can run off and grab objectives and still be pretty tough to remove off said objective. So say that orc's an objective and they're sat on it, you've got to commit quite a lot of, resources to try and get rid of those 4 guys, because they're in shield wall now. But you've still got a good battle line that you could spread out a bit more in a straighter line or closer to the objective to hold this objective. Things like that. So let's say you started your priority phase, they've got priority, and the turn before you turned your men to face these guys. Of course you could have gone crescent to try and take the charge on all fronts, but you can try and bait them. So we've got some allies over here, and what we're going to do is call a heroic march with these guys. So these guys are like, yeah, we're safe. That's fine, because some people think of the short game. Not all, but some. They're going to obviously charge straight into the front of these guys. Nice and easy. Imagine they're all lined up. And then look at that juicy flank. I'm going to take these guys and pivot slightly. Go on. That's probably about 6 inches anyway, with the pivot, and hit into their flank. This turn, we're going to get Tariel, and we're going to go 6.2, and then that's 2.8. Boom. There we go. 9 inches. Boom! Sure, we might lose 1 or 2 dwarves here, but we've got a leader here, and we would probably have an Iron Hills captain somewhere here, and we've got 2 heroic moves we can call if we need to lose priority, because they'll back away, but then next turn we can charge. Okay, so even if we lose, say, I don't know, this dwarf, this dwarf, this dwarf, that dwarf, we can then commit into their line. That poor bloke's probably going to be shielding. Stay in shield wall as best as we can, because he will still get shield wall, and if I line these guys up right, so will he, because he can then back off that way. But yeah, they all commit, and then we can then commit like so, spread out a little bit. Tariel dives straight on in to spin around that guy's base, and then Mirkwood Elf, and so on and so forth. Now we've got a whole portion of their line that will all be trapped. But yeah, I'm only bringing this one up because I actually did it to someone. It was quite effective. I did it with Gondor, but that's not the point. But I left a flank nice and juicy open, and he took it, because why wouldn't you? It's a shield wall, you want to flank it and things like that. Because he thought, next turn I'll kill a couple of dwarves and then I'll flank round. But no, not at all. Some people will see it coming, but some people won't. So it's worth a try. Even having them there, like I had them out with elves, is a very good way of making sure people don't do that and charge your flank. Because they'll think, oh, I'm going to get flanked exactly as these boys have. And let's be honest, it's not going to go very well for them, is it? Not at all, because they will be trapped. Every single one of them. and if they lose a fight, they're pretty much going down. These guys, not so much. All they have to do is hold. Shield wall is what they do. Holding is what they do. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you like this tabletop simulator kind of style of video, do let me know in the comment section down below, and do let me know with a like, because then I'll keep doing them. This is the first one I tried, just to test the waters, but I'd like to know your feedback. Not so good or good. Both is good. If you want to talk about Middle-earth strategy battle game to me at all, do jump into my Discord channel where I do competitive chats. I help people with lists. Other people help people with lists. It's really good. And yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. If you like the video, do like it. And if you're feeling especially saintly today, do consider subscribing. But even if you don't do either of those things, I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.